Thea 2 The Shattering caught my attention because of its highly particular blend of different mechanics. At first glance it looks like a 4X, but as you start playing it, you notice that you're not in charge of a civilization, a state, not even a city. Instead, you are the avatar of a god and lead a very small group of people into quite a dangerous and story-driven world inspired by Slavic folklore. If this is the first time on my channel, welcome. I'm Steven Nonsense, geek culture analyst, somewhat extraordinaire. If you're already a subscriber, welcome back and don't forget to click that bell button. Thea 2 indeed has at least 3 of the X's in a 4X. There is definitely exploration, resource gathering and combat, but it also adds to the mix a crafting system, a lot of interactive storytelling reminiscent of King of Dragon Pass, and a bunch of role-playing aspects as well. The other X, expansion, isn't a necessity in the sense of the classic 4X genre, since you can spend a lot of the game as a nomadic band of adventurers, going from place to place, involving yourself in various quests or simply stumbling into situations. Although you can settle down, I never really managed to, because of reasons I'll get into later. The various members of your party have different classes or professions, which make them highly proficient in certain aspects of the game, but every member can be assigned to any of these at any one time. As you adventure through the land, solve quests, explore, react to events and fight mobs, your party gains experience, and as they level up, you get to improve some of their stats or endow and improve their combat skills. Now, combat is by far the oddest mechanic in the game, and I feel I should address it first since it is quite unlike any other 4X or tactics game. To begin with, there are 3 different areas that your party can engage in combat. These can be physical combat, the one that we as gamers are most familiar with, spiritual combat, which is where things start to get a bit weird, and mental combat, where things continue being weird. Regardless of the type of combat that you engage in, fighting is resolved the same way, via a sort of game of cards, but the cards only represent the members of your party or various familiars and pets they have. Depending on the type of combat, however, your party's proficiencies will differ greatly. A fighter will do great in physical combat, but will be extremely vulnerable when having to fight with its spirit or mental fortitude. And when I say vulnerable, I mean close to completely useless. While this separation between different areas of conflict is a great idea, the fact that they are all resolved using the same overall mechanic is a bit of a misstep, in my opinion. Basically, it is trying to equate a martial arts fight with a game of Go or chess, but by not allowing the martial artists to throw kicks and punches, nor the tabletop players to use their pieces and boards. Instead, it makes all of them use different sets of playing cards depending on their preferred method of conflict resolution. I don't know if I did a good enough job trying to explain how combat works. I'm sorry if I confused you, but I had to deal with a lot of this confusion while playing as well. Even once I kinda got a hang of things, I would still sometimes mistakenly choose to fight in an area where my party was truly unprepared and thoroughly got my ass kicked. Because it is quite difficult to train your party to be proficient in 3 different areas of conflict resolution that have little to no overlap between them. Also, did I mention you can cast the same player card more than once, thus creating a clone card that will share damage taken with the original? See, that's why I left it for the end, because that only further complicates, confuses, and ultimately frustrated me. Great idea, bad execution. The world of Thea, on the other hand, seems quite interesting from a storytelling point of view. It's a world where gods are very present and nothing is as it might seem. Generally, you'll have to approach events from other points of view rather than the material and find out that you are in fact in extreme danger from some weird magical creatures hiding in glimmers of light or shimmers of water. And you do have this overarching divine given quest that you may choose to follow, but you might also not. Unfortunately, due to the fact that combat proved to be so much not up my alley, I never really managed to advance very much to the game, because even though I would manage to grow my party to decently high levels, I would inevitably get into a type of fight I couldn't win, and then my characters would have to suffer massive debuffs and or curses, which would be super costly and generally difficult to remove. As you advance in the game, you will gain advancement points, which you can invest in 4 distinct trees: resources, equipment, food, and building and rituals. These open up new options in terms of things you can gather, craft, cook, and build and do in general. These being the things that you will be assigning your party members to do when you stop moving and form a camp. When it comes to both crafting items and cooking food, the game offers alternatives to the materials that you can use when making something. Something might require wood and stone, for instance, but it doesn't matter what type of wood and stone you use. And in fact, using different types of resources, more advanced ones, will result in different stats for the same item, which is pretty cool. I really dig the illustration style, the music is atmospheric, the interface makes sense, and it runs very smoothly. So I love everything about Thea 2 with the massive exception of the combat. And normally I can look past one feature or mechanic that just doesn't gel with me when the rest of the game is of such high quality. But in this case, I cannot do that because combat is a large chunk of the game even when you try to actively avoid it. Even in such cases, when I did my best to avoid combat and try to gather resources and settle down to create a village, I never found the appropriate spot, nor did I have what I needed to create a village forming totem. In conclusion, even though Thea 2 The Shattering is not my particular brand of cognac, it is definitely someone's jam. And if that someone is you, then I wholeheartedly suggest you go for it. Plus, it has a free demo up on Steam, so you can experience it for yourself regardless of what I say. Have you already played Thea 2 and think I'm completely off my rocker about the combat? Will you reconsider checking out Thea 2 after this? Please let me know in the comments. I've been Steven Nonsense. Thank you very much for watching and see you next time.